Welcome to the Would You Like a Cup of Tea podcast in connection with the event Would You Like a Cup of Tea, which is all about dismantling prejudice and helping to form healing and human connections within our hearts and minds by creating a safe space for diverse voices to be heard. The project is dedicated to fostering empathy and social change through sharing lived experiences, creating a connection with authenticity amongst others, and more importantly within ourselves. You will hear a variety of live podcasts that have taken place on the night, as well as from others who have come to share their stories at a later date, whilst also sharing their thoughts around the event. I hope you enjoy. Thanks for listening.
Can everybody hear us?
You're going to need that.
Can everybody hear me now? Thank you so much to everyone who has come and supported our event this evening. We are so pleased that there are so many people, especially as this is the first one. So it looks like this is definitely going to be one of many. So thank you very much for that. And now we're going to get started with Would You Like a Cup of Tea?
Everybody has a cup, right? Yeah. Wonderful.
Right. This is Shalina, who has travelled all the way down from Birmingham. You are a breathwork mentor. Mm-hmm. And you have come to share your story with us today, which you titled
This Little Light of Mine.
Okay. Can you tell us why you chose that?
So that's, everyone know the song? This Little Light of Mine. Okay. So when I was at school, we had these assembly songs. He's got the whole wide world in his hands. And unfortunately for me, at a really early age, I was abused. And when the abuser left, I was only 8 years old, that song came to surface. And I just remember crying and singing that song. And holding on to, I guess, the emotion that the song made me think. And I just didn't think about it at the time. And just fast forward, I think life has just put me through so many different experiences. And I think that song at that moment was so powerful because it brought me full circle to where I am today, where the work that I do now means that my experience as a child, although I spent most of my years really just trying to get things right, because it forced me into the wrong relationships, into the wrong places, the wrong habits. Now I have my alleviation and I understand that my hardship is almost like a glorification, that actually after hardship does come ease, So yeah, that's why that title.
Great, thank you. So if there's anything I ask you that you are not comfortable answering, please just say, I don't want to answer that, and it's fine, we'll move on. So I have a similar childhood experience to you. I also have a song, but that song hasn't done that for me. So I'm very intrigued to know how you've made it a positive, because for me, if the song that if the song that I hear, for me, I don't want to hear it. I want to turn it off. I want to run away. So how have you been able to do that?
Yeah, so initially when I first heard that song, I was triggered. Definitely. And I think as I've grown older, I've realized that emotions is energy in motion. And if you're triggered, it usually means that there's something you need to address. And there was a pain that I needed to address. And for me, it was my inner child healing. I think my inner child took the reins and said, no one's going to ever do this to you again, because I was neglected and it was, left addressed. And so that child fell into the wrong relationships. You know, I was almost looking through the lens of that child, you know, and until I made peace with my inner child, that song really did trigger me. Whereas now, is an empowerment in that song. I'm so grateful, you know, that I had this little light of mine, because, you know, I am most definitely letting it shine, and I'm sitting here to tell you all that your story is for a reason. It really is. And when you realize who you really are, right? You know, everyone has different beliefs with their spirituality, right? But I think that God or the Most High does not burden the soul with more than it can bear, you know? And so it's for you to really not be afraid, be still, move when you're going through life, not governed by fear, be governed by love. Because for me, that will bring you here. There are people that didn't know they were going to be here today, but you're here because that's alignment. You were meant to be here. You were meant to hear what you had, get the empowerment that you need to. Everything happens for a reason.
And your reason for your life experiences, what do you think that is?
You know, like I said, you know, if I've been chosen to be someone who can go through so much, and I mean, you know, in my last marriage, my ex-husband had mental health issues, and supporting someone who's going through that, especially someone that you love that wakes up and doesn't recognize you, is really tough. You know, being a single mom is really tough.
Yeah.
But I think it's the way that I look at things now. I don't look at things like, oh my God, like I don't hold on to things anymore. You know, what happened yesterday happened yesterday. I live in the present. You know, I look forward to tomorrow. I'm like, okay, today's a bad day, but tomorrow is a better day. And I think that in the work that I do, that's what I see. People that are anxious and worried about the future. People that are depressed are living in the past. And I think it's about being able to align yourself and be grounded, and find that peace. And nobody said healing was pretty, right?
Yeah.
It hurts like a bitch, right? You know, and it's ugly, like, you gotta go there, right? And I went there, and I understand emotion. I understand how I can expel it.
So when you went there, what was that like for you and the people around you?
That's a really good question. What was it like for me? So again, I think as we're growing, what happened was in my growth, as your self-esteem grows and your self-worth, you start looking at people differently. Some people don't like the empowered you. Some people just want you to be broken and they can't handle the empowered you. And that bit for me was the wake-up call, like, oh my God, but I thought you loved me and I loved you. Look at how much I've been done for you. But that person could only be there for me when I was broken. And so what happened was I went through this imposter syndrome phase where when one person left my circle, you better believe it, there was another person that stepped into my circle that was like, you know what, you're coming up here with me. And although, you know, when we elevate in life and we learn to be at different tables, you have to learn, you have to adjust. You have to take a breather and, you know, explore the feelings and the emotions that come up. I'm not worthy of being here. Why not? Okay, let's go there. Self, let's go there. Like, you know, you're just in your moment.
Was there ever a part of you that felt it was hard to be healed? Because that's something that I've really struggled with. I feel like even though I've always had the anxiety and depression and everything else, I had more panic attacks as I healed than I did living as a trauma-filled person.
I mean, my experience of working with people is stop trying to fix your problems, right? In being still, the answers are there for you. I think the Most High, God, you know, whatever your alignment is with spirituality, the answers are in front of you and it's easy for you. If only you just open your eyes and see that actually there's someone there that does love you, that does want to support you, it's just not the person you want it to be, you know?
I definitely feel that one. So, but now you help people to find themselves in the work that you do.
So as a breathwork mentor, there's different levels, you know. The low level, I would say, is really just helping people with emotional regulation, right? So I say emotion is energy in motion. There's a cause and then you're triggered, right? So when you feel like you want to punch someone in the face, you know, or you want to just break down crying, that emotion, it's irrational. So we have good emotions, that's, you know, keep us stable. Then we have negative emotions that take us into irrational mind space. And what I teach people to do with the breath work is really just to hit that reset button, do the breathing, and it centers you. You're so focused on the breathing that you forget about everything. And so you come back to your train of thought, literally, like, okay, now I'm calm, now I'm not governed by this emotion, right? I can make a sound decision. You know, I think it's like the kettle boiling, right? You gotta give it time to cool down.
But obviously, that's easier to do in well, it's never easy, but like more when you've got the space and the time to do it, it makes it obviously better for you to be able to do that. If something is like happening like in an instant, I mean, like triggers, for example, if you have PTSD, you can figure out a trigger, figure out what you can do to help yourself work through that. But if you have like complex post-traumatic stress disorder, there are certain things that you cannot stop yourself from being triggered by a certain smell because you don't know you're going to smell it. A picture, a word, something on the TV. So how do you manage those situations like when it's like a fast-paced situation? Yeah.
So if I give a suitcase as an analogy, you come into this world, you've got the suitcase, and you know, we start to put our belief systems in this suitcase, and we put layers and layers upon, right? We dismiss the way people speak to us. You know, we don't get to have closure to some situations. That starts to weigh you down, right? And so what you have to do is literally deconstruct the belief systems that are causing these triggers. So if there was a smell, you'd say, well, what is this smell causing me? What, why, who, where, when, you know, and reframe it so that it's more empowering. Okay, that was then. This is now. Nobody's ever going to treat you like that again, you know? And so it literally is about unpacking that emotional baggage or the belief systems you hold. And, you know, the lower you get, the more deep-rooted it will be. You'll get to your early maladaptive schemas, right? The belief systems that you create in your early childhood, right? And essentially that's what we end up getting to, is maternal and paternal issues. So it doesn't, for some people, it happens very quickly. It's just befriending yourself. You've got to befriend yourself. I think, especially if we're in a relationship and you've been in love with someone, you know, we kind of like, their needs come before ours, right? I'm hungry if you're hungry. I'll eat if you'll eat, you know? And sometimes it takes time for us to detach ourselves from someone else's emotional worth and actually recenter ourselves and be like, no, it's not about what makes other people happy. It's about me. It's about my family. We're living in a time where people are manipulating us to buy things, to dress a certain way, you know? It's just about looking at things differently.
But I think the problem we have there is that when people come to self, it becomes that you get that feeling of being selfish. And so then how do you advise people to differentiate between being selfless and selfish and taking care of themselves?
You just got to go through a process, you know. I think I've been there and I see people going through it. So if I ask someone, what do you do? Right? They're almost afraid to list the things that they do. I know some women in here already that are just tell me, well, at the moment, this is what I'm doing. No, tell me everything, because it all counts, right? The more you tell someone who you are and what you do, You're not being, egotistic. What you're doing is showcasing your expertise and saying, I am a champion in this. I am good at this because this is what's led me here. Yeah, I did earlier. I was a radio presenter. I sing. I act. I'm going to reel it all up. And I never forget I met this guy and he done the same. I was like, that's true Carol. We've had this conversation. But I said it to him. I said, you sound a bit full of yourself when you're like, I do this and I do that. And when he openly answered that and said, no, sometimes you have to put your worth on the table. Who do you know who you're sitting with? That's what I hope you discovered today. Who are you sitting at a table with? Really? Right? Because in psychology, we look at self-discrepancy theory. A lot of people are juggling between ought self, ideal self, and actual self, right? We're in a world of social media with filters and, you have to connect with your actual self and be able to sit at that table, sip on your tea and be like, do you know who you're sitting with?
So can I just ask, so someone like me, when you said, some people I've already asked and they said, well, I'll do this, I'm a great person to do. I do all of these things, but it's very varied. I get kind of into myself and don't really express that. So for anyone here who is maybe like that, what would you say, what are starter sentences or something that they could do to begin that list and feel a bit more confident about saying those things?
Practice makes perfect. I think, what I've learned to do is, it depends who I'm in the room with, If I'm with people that are in the music business, then I'm like, hey, I'm Shalina the singer, right? If I'm in a room full of people that may need, some anxiety healing, I'm like, hey, I'm Shalina, the breathwork mentor, You just got to learn to really get out there. The more that you attend events like this, and hear yourself telling people who you are, the more you do, practice makes perfect. And then the more you do it,
Sorry about that.
Thank you. And I think, it is really important because we all do more than one thing. Everything is always deeper than we think it is, and everything, therefore, is always connected in one way, shape, or form. And I feel like, like you were saying about being manipulated and things like that, and people don't want to share themselves because then there's the fear of judgment, being judged, and it's like, I've lost my train of thought now. But that is always there, and I think it will always be there. And like I was saying to someone earlier, like through my healing, I haven't been able to go back to myself. People say that when you heal, you go back to who you are, but actually, everything I've been through, I don't want to go back there. So my healing has took me on a journey where I learned to people watch from a very young age. So I'm very good at it now. And so I watch and I've taken bits from people that I think, I like that, I want to be like that, so I'll have that bit, and then I'll have that bit from her and this bit from you, and that's how I have built who I am today. That's led me to doing things. So it's been amazing.
Yeah, and then, first of all, round of applause to Nyasher, because she did this event. Well done. And Carolyn. And Carolyn, make some noise, right? I hope you don't mind me sharing, but there was a low number at the start, right?
Yeah.
And I said, don't you dare give up. No, right? Because even if it's 5 people in a room, it's meant to happen, right? And look at how many people are here. They're so beautiful, right? Because you have to manifest those beliefs. That manifestation is so true. You do have to take time out to visualize your day. Be positive. Listen to yourself. Repeat how you're speaking to yourself, right? Are you, putting yourself down like, I'm so stupid, why did I? No, I am, let's change it. We're not, make sure that you check yourself, I think, because you just have to learn to catch up with the day. You think I'm comfortable here? I'll have to go home and just be like, oh my, I did that, right? And speak to myself and tell myself how far I've come. Because, being a woman that was in a abusive relationship, lying on the floor, being in a refuge, and I'm here now. Ooh. Wow, right? But if sharing my story can help save a life, can help, help someone go and find their truth and go and inspire other people, then yeah, I'm all about that.
That's great, thank you. And that is what this project is all about. Is there anything else you would like to share with us?
Yeah, so I am a breathwork mentor. I did bring these along, so if you get the chance to have a look, you're more than welcome. And ask me some questions, you're more than welcome. But thank you so much, Reading. I'd love this.
Right, so I have made lots of posters around the room about different keys, lots of bits of information. So when you get time, please feel free to roam around and read those. Shalina's going to be here with us for a little bit longer. So anyone who wants to come and catch up with Shalina a little bit more, please feel free to come and make your way to this table. We have some tea bag titles on here. I'm not sure how good or bad that sounded. But please feel free to come and take one and find your way to that table with whoever it is you come along with. And we'll be here. Our therapist was not able to come this evening.
Yeah, but we do have some signposts in here to any services that are also in Reading that are local. We'd be happy to chat about them with you if you want to approach us. All the information is on there already for you, so you are welcome to take it. Okay.
Yeah.
Have we matched everyone up with the titles that are on the table? I don't think we
So
have.
that's what I've just said that they can come and do.
Fine.
Yeah. Thank you. See, this is why we're a good team. Always keeping tabs on each other, as well as always being one step ahead. Yeah. So please do come and with whoever you come along with, grab a tea bag and find that table, and then you can have a seat and ask any questions. And just like we've modelled here, if they're not comfortable to answer, please respect that decision and just like move on. We'll be around circling. We're here to answer any questions. And we'll be taking pictures as we go. Thank you. Off you go.
Thank you for watching the Would You Like a Cup of Tea podcast, brought to you by My Voice in Power, Black on the Table, Bread and Biscuit Factory, and Unity Live Radio.